Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another 3D printing Gundam video, and today's one is going to be a little bit different. The last couple of times we looked at stuff for gunpla, but this time we're going to be doing something a little different, and this is Gundam masks. Once again, this video was sponsored by Anycubic. This right here, which I'll be looking at today, is the Anycubic Vyper. This particular printer will be available to pre-order from today, the day that you're watching this, which is June 10th, with a special price tag of $299 for the first 3,000 units. After that, it goes back up to $359. So there is a link in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. So yeah, the last couple of 3D printing videos I did were with resin. So I'm not the biggest fan of resin printers because they are a little bit messy, but boy do they make some nice little prints. I focused mainly on 40k minis, some gunpla accessories including the absolutely awesome Dainsleif. I made a Buster Sword, and I also made some cool stands that you can mount up on your wall. So if you haven't seen those videos, you can go check those out. But today we're going to be working with a traditional filament style 3D printer, aka it uses big rolls of plastic and melts it all together into whatever you want, like teleporting a product into reality, and that is mad. So unlike the UV resin printers I was looking at before, we can print some big stuff with the regular 3D filament printer. So I was trying to think of some cool stuff I could print that'd be pretty big. I was thinking of redoing the stands again because the resin did bend after a while, especially with master grades attached. High grades fine, but the weight of a master grade did bend them, and I thought the plastic from a filament printer would do a better job. After that, I thought maybe I'd do some dioramas like busted buildings or something like Kotobukiya's chain base. But then while looking for stuff to print, I came across these and was blown away. This looked like too much fun to pass up because it was something that I genuinely wanted myself. So I found these on Etsy by this guy right here. I'm not sure what that name is, Seberdura. I'm always butchering people's names, so I'll just stick the link down there if you want to check them out. There's some cool masks here, and the artists themselves did ask me not to mention the G word when talking about these. So these are Mecha inspired masks right here, and some of them are off the wall cool. They look so great. There's some that I wish I actually noticed before I went through it grabbing the ones that I did, like this one right here, but in the end I went for the Mecha Rex mask and the Mecha Fortune version 2 mask because, well, I love those particular non-G word mecha. Now let's get them printed. But first, let's unbox the printer. So I will mention at this point in the unboxing that this is, well, definitely a two-man job. I did find it a bit of a struggle to get it out on my own. It's very heavy, it comes connected in the box but at the same time kind of separated. An extra pair of hands will be handy getting this out of the box, but if you're like me, you'll be tenacious and a little bit on the stubborn side and manage just to get it out anyway. I'll also mention this is a sample, so I'm not sure if this will be the final packaging, and there is a little bit of assembly required. There are some instructions in here. When I was reading these, I had a bit of an interruption. Pretty much all of the tools are included in here, but I did not have a hex wrench in here. I'm not sure once again if this was because it was a sample, but I did have one lying around, and it all put together pretty easy. So all we've left to do is load this thing up with a roll, and we're ready to go. Oh, yeah, wrong roll. So once you got yourself an STL file to print, whether it's a mecha-related mask, a cool diorama, a giant Gundam head or something like that, where you start off is with the slicer software. So this is really easy to use. It's not the exact same one we would have seen with the Anycubic UV resin printer before, this is actually simpler to use. So you just drag your STL files in there, line them up, and get them ready to print. So I'm going to jump in at this point and mention that the second mask that I wanted to print I had a lot of trouble with. Basically, it kept slipping off the base, so I didn't get it ready in time for this video. So what I found out in the end is click this button right here, which will add a raft below whatever you're printing to make sure that it adheres. There just wasn't enough surface area at the bottom of the supports for it to stick, but once I got that raft attached, I had no problems. I will also mention that I did make this mask a little bit smaller. I printed it out at 85%, mainly because I've got a pretty small face, and it looked like it was a little bit on the big side. But it is cool, you can rotate it around, increase the size, make the size smaller, whatever suits what you want to do. Once you've got everything sorted out, once you've got it all sliced, just export it to the included card, pop that SD card into the printer, and you can print it from there. These are pretty large masks, so they will take a little while to print. I think it was 13 hours for my first one, 14 hours for just the cheeks of the Fortune version 2. Once you get it built, there is a lot of cleanup involved. This isn't something that I knew before getting into this video, and because there was a little bit of a, well, deadline for this video, I wasn't able to order in the tools I needed in time. I thought I'd be able to use the exact same tools I use with gunpla on this plastic like I could with the resin prints, but this stuff is robust. This stuff is hard. It's like somewhere between stone and glass. So I wasn't actually able to sand this down properly because I don't have any, well, all I had was some sanding strips that just didn't do the job. The files I used for gunpla also didn't do the job. I did work with some of the smaller surfaces and get them to a nice finish, and honestly, the perfectionist inside of me was going mad I couldn't finish this properly. So if you know what to use to fill in some gaps in a 3D print as well as sand it down to the perfect, sharp, excellent finish that you want from one of these, then drop it down in the comments. I would love to know because I want to try this again. But anyway, I tried it on and, well, the shrinking it down to 85% meant that now it didn't fit over my cheekbones. So I decided to try and modify this again. I did not have the tools that I really needed for this. So what I did was I just lined it up with a Sharpie, drilled a bunch of holes with a tiny little hand drill. When they were drilled, then I just cut in between them all with a nipper and then just slowly cut it all away. It took a lot of time, and once again, you know, if you're cutting into a 3D printed item, you will get into the kind of hollow inside of it like this right here. It's not the prettiest, but I wanted to keep it kind of tight and small as opposed to oversized and big jawbony. Once I cleaned it up as much as I could, and once I cut out those cheeks, it was time for some paint. So because this is really big, it was quite fun and simple to mask off. First off, I hit it with a big dose of Mr. Surfacer. I thought this might fill in some of the gaps like it can on gunpla, but this was not having any of it. Those gaps still stayed pretty big. Once it was primed, it was time for some paint, and once again, I still haven't gotten around to getting an airbrush yet. If you want to help out, Patreon down there in the description. So I was using some rattle cans. I hit it with red first, which is Tamiya's TS86 Pure Red Rattle Can. This red is off the charts, mind-blowingly super red. I actually bought this for another project, which will be coming up soon. Look forward to that. I do. I made sure to mask this in a way that the white was permanently covered, and then you could just stick some big parts over it to spray down the red, then peel off those parts, stick another couple of bits of masking tape down and hit it with the gold. The gold I used was TS21 Gold by Tamiya again. And finally then for the darker sections, I used Tamiya TS67 IJN Grey Sasebo Arsenal. I did want to use a black or a metallic black, but it's getting harder and harder because of Brexit to get rattle cans in Ireland, so that is what I went with. So I guess it's time to finally unveil what this Rex Mecha mask looks like fully painted up. So finally there it is, unwrapped, unmasked, and finished. This looks pretty damn good for a first attempt. A lot of the masking isn't as crisp as I would have liked it to be, especially on the grey, but it still looks really good. Once again, this was for a deadline. I didn't have the exact tools I needed to actually do this, and honestly, masking this off and cleaning this up was a whole lot harder than gunpla, which I thought it might be kind of similar to, but it is not. Honestly though, the kind of lines going through the 3D print and the somewhat sloppy paint job gives it a bit of a samurai mask feel to me. You could outright lie to someone and say this is exactly what you were going for, and it does look pretty cool. I'm just really imagining a really awesome Gundam Barbatos Lupus Rex themed samurai outfit that would look kick-ass. Anyway, I did have one paint that did match with the grey on this, so I tried to clean up the lines a little bit. It looks a lot nicer, and with a little bit of final touch-ups, this could look pretty cool. This is what the finished product looks like, and in the end, I do kind of regret printing it out at 85% size. I think 95% would have been a little bit better for a more perfect fit, but in the end, it does look really cool. I definitely want to try this again with the right tools for cleaning up the 3D print underneath, and speaking of which, by the time I had this bit of the video finished, the Mecha Fortune version 2 mask was actually finished printing. So I threw it all together with some blue tack, and this looks astounding. The print on the little CIWS guns on the cheeks could be a little bit better. I could have set that up a little better. Maybe resin printing those would be better, but still it looks phenomenal. This was printed at 90% and fits like a glove. It is so cool. This I actually do prefer compared to the Rex mask because it is all-encompassing, really goes around your face, and it looks insane and undeniably Gundam. Once again, if you do have any tips on cleaning up a 3D print to get that perfect finish, as well as attaching it all together, drop it down there in the comments. I would love to know. But anyway, that is it. Once again, thank you so much to Anycubic for sponsoring this video and sending me on the Anycubic Vyper printer. This was a whole lot of fun. It's a lot cleaner, faster, less messy than a UV resin-based printer, but of course the prints aren't as high resolution, so it's suited to bigger pieces like this right here. There's a lot of extra effort you'll have to put in after printing them out, but it feels so fun. There's something so therapeutic about sanding it all down and perfecting the print once it's done. I can't actually wait to put some time into this one and get it just right. And maybe use some of those Chrome Gundam markers on those face Vulcans. But anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you do want to see more content like this, drop a like down there as well as a comment. Let me know what you'd like to see, and as always, I will see you next time. As always, this channel would not exist without you guys, so thank you so much for watching, and special thanks to the channel members and people over on Patreon, including Craig Jury, Tyler Sanders, Brian Perez, Caleb Englehart, Sean T. Van Fawn, Bakito Official, and Lauren Seahack. By the way, if I mispronounce any of you guys' names, jump onto the Discord, let me know, and I'll get it right next time.